The song that most surprised me, I think, was "Take Me Home."
Sure.
With is it the first time you're using acoustic guitar on an album?
No, there's an acoustic guitar at the end of "My Love Is Bold,"
Okay.
which is an older song, and that's actually off our first album. So there's an acoustic guitar on our first record, "I'm Alive and on Fire." So no, not at all.
No, but it is a different song than you wrote before, I think. It's also more a bit country rock.
Nah, it's not country rock, man.
No?
It's a pop song made by a heavy hard rock band. Not a pop song by a pop band, pop song by a heavy rock band. I think the southern country is, I mean, I think what you mean to say is southern rock. I mean, we have more affiliation with southern rock than anything country. So in that sense, maybe, yeah. But as far as I hear it, it's a hard rock song to me. You know, it's got the melody, it's got the electric guitars. There's no piano, there's no symphony, there's no guest rapper, there's no horns on it, there's no electronic beats on it. There's just drums, bass, guitar, and vocals. Those are the elements of, and it's not a ballad. So those are the elements to me of hard rock music. So I liken it to being just another pure hard rock song. Yeah, it's softer than our older ones, you know, but it's still, like I said, in the tradition that I've always described us as, which is a hard rock band.
Yeah, okay. And can you, when you were writing this album, can you, and you said what you just explained before,
Yeah.
that in the genre that you like, there's a lot of melody involved.
Yeah.
Can you name specific songs or groups that you were thinking of while
Sure, man.
writing these albums?
Yeah, when I first I talked on the phone with Nick Raskulinecz before we even met up and started recording the album, and the one of the first things I said to him was, I want to make a record that sounds like Kiss, Thin Lizzy, and UFO. I said that exact line, I think even in the exact order, and he just said, "Great. Those are some of my favorite bands. Let's go ahead and make that record." So that's where our heads were at when we decided to make that record. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then the song also, "Forest for the Trees," you went with John Garcia and even Pete Stahl.
Yeah.
From Scream he was.
Scream and
Yeah.
Wool and Goat Snake.
Yeah. How did that song came about? Did you have the song and then invited these guys, or?
Yeah, you know, the song, I was in the studio doing the vocals for Forest for the Trees. I was singing the whole song, and I was losing my voice. And the only way we could keep going without losing any ground, and because we were only in the studio for a limited amount of time, was I could either work on it for another day and a half and lose ground, or we could get a guest vocalist, which is something we talked about before. Nick suggested Pete Stahl, and he could get in touch with him. He was in town. And when I thought about it, and I thought of those Goat Snake records, which were like heavy Sabbath type music, I realized his voice fit in perfectly. It was just a matter of whether he was in town or not, and he was, and he came down and he laid the vocals down. He's a really nice guy. I didn't know him before he came to visit the studio, and we ended up, you know, talking and hanging out after for about, you know, another hour and a half, and it took him about an hour and a half to do those vocals. And so after it was all said and done, I was kind of glad. I think the song wouldn't have been as good without Pete. As far as John Garcia is concerned, he lives a couple hours from LA. We were in LA for a couple of months. You know, we're friends. He was on our last record, Sleep Is the Enemy. And for us not to hang out with John if we're in LA for 2 months, that just couldn't happen. So, you know, he came down, hung out, played us some new tracks from the new Hermano record, Into the Exam Room, which it was awesome. And then he went downstairs and he laid some backup vocals. So John's vocals are in the background doing the backups during the choruses and stuff, and Pete's in the foreground during that bridge part. And the two of them on the same song, it's an honor for us to host them on this album and this song in particular. And back in the day, I think Caius and Wool actually did a split EP together, so it's almost a reunion of sorts.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I love that song too on the record.
Yeah.